In this video, we demonstrate how DecEzy integrates with Microsoft Dynamics NAV. Before I continue, I should explain what NAV is. NAV is an accounting package. It's a bit more powerful than the entry-level accounting package that most small businesses use, with powerful and fully configurable reporting tools built into it. When we use DecEzy's NAV integration, we are sending key transactions from DecEzy to NAV so that we can use NAV's chart of accounts to manage our tax reporting requirements and use NAV's reporting tools. This integration functionality is particularly useful when a decorations business has multiple branches, as the transactions for all branches can be uploaded from each branch's independent DecEzy system to a single central NAV database, allowing the branches to report it on side by side in NAV. This allows the business owner to keep an eye on all the branches all within one system. Firstly, let's have a quick look at NAV. The NAV database we'll be using today is kind of empty at the moment. It doesn't have any customers, vendors, items, salespeople, purchase orders, posted sales invoices, or purchase receipts. What we do have is a chart of accounts, all with zero balances, and some bank accounts set up for each branch. Now let's open up DecEzy. I've already prepared a few DecEzy databases, each to represent a branch of our business. I'll open up the Alpha branch now. In my Alpha database, I have already posted a purchase receipt, and I have one outstanding purchase order. Let's see what happens when we synchronize this. We'll open up the NAV sync window, and straight away it tells us what needs to be synchronized. We can see here that there is one outstanding purchase order that needs to be synchronized and one purchase receipt, as we saw earlier. I'm going to synchronize everything by selecting Send All Transactions at the bottom. As it sends transactions, it will show us a progress. After it's complete, we can look at the Results tab to see what was sent. We can see here that not only were the purchase orders and purchase receipts sent to NAV, but also the brands, items, sizes, and colors that were needed for the purchase documents. Now we'll switch back to NAV to see what is there. We'll take a look at the purchase orders. Now you'll notice here we have two, while we only had one open in DecEzy. That's because NAV needs to handle the invoicing side of things for these purchase orders, so they have been recreated, or both of them have been recreated. Importantly, you can see that they all have the location set to alpha. This is important as it ensures that NAV records the stock being received into the right location. If we open one up, we can see that the quantity received is equal to the quantity, but the quantity invoiced is blank, indicating that it has not yet been invoiced. This is what we want, as NAV will be handling the invoicing side of things, invoicing side of purchase orders, not DecEzy. Now we'll take a look at purchase receipts. Here we can see the purchase receipt from DecEzy. If we go into it, we can see the detail for what was received, just like in DecEzy. Now we'll take a quick look at what else has been created. If we go to vendors, we can see that it has created the required vendors, and if we go to items, we can see that it has created the required items along with the current inventory level and the required sizes and colors. We can see these sizes and colors if we go to variants for one of these items, and it shows us the size 87R and color navy. Now let's see what happens with sales invoices. If we switch back to DecEzy, we'll see that I've already created a few sales orders with both items and decorations on it. I'm going to fully post this first sales order now. Now we'll go back to the NAV sync window and see that it is now telling us that one sales invoice needs to be synced with NAV. We'll now run the sync process. And then check the results. The results tell us that one customer and one posted sales invoice were sent to NAV. No items were created as the required items were created when the purchase orders were sent to NAV. And now if we switch back to NAV, we'll be able to see the invoice and the customer. We can see our one customer here, and note that the location has been set to alpha, so that we know which branch our customer belongs to. It also shows our customer balance. Now, if we go to posted sales invoices, we'll see the invoice that we just sent. If we open up the invoice detail and scroll down a little bit, we'll see our 4 lines, 2 for items and 2 for decorations. Now we'll take a look at how payments are handled. I'll go back to DecEzy and make payments against this the invoice we just posted. I'll make them both I'll make 2 payments, both $100, one for cash and one for EFT. Now we'll go back to the NAV sync window and see that it's telling us it needs to sync 2 payments. So again, we select Send All Transactions. When it's complete, we can go to the Results tab and see what it's done, and we can see that it has synchronized 2 payments to Andy's accounting. Now, let's switch back to NAV to see what's happened here. If we go to our customer, we can see that their balance reflects the invoice and 2 payments. And I'll drill down on this. Here we can see the invoice line and the 2 payment lines. If we have a look at the bank accounts, we'll see that both of our Alpha bank accounts now have a balance of $100. $100 for cash and $100 for EFT. Okay, so now we have an idea of how the NAV sync process works. There is much more to it, such as credits and stock takes. But to keep this video from getting too long, we won't go into those here. I've already prepared 3 other branches with a number of purchase receipts and about 20 sales invoices in each. We'll sync these all with NAV now so that we can see NAV with a whole bunch of transactions in it. While these are synchronizing, I should emphasize that even though I'm demonstrating this all on the same machine, the synchronization process is all designed to work over the internet. Now they are synced, let's have a look back in NAV. We can see we have a number of new customers, each associated with a location. We have a few new vendors. Note that the vendors were not created for a location. This is because each branch orders from the same vendor. So the same vendor in NAV is used by all DecEzy branches. We have a lot of new items, as these were needed for the sales invoices we synchronized. A lot of new purchase orders. Because I use salespeople in those 3 companies, these were also synchronized and linked to the sales invoices. This will become important later. We have a lot of new sales invoices, a lot of purchase receipts. Our chart of accounts now has some figures in it in the balance field, and our bank accounts will show a balance as we've made payments into all of them. So, now that we have all these transactions from different branches consolidated into NAV, what can we do with it? Well, there is the standard stuff: fulfilling tax reporting requirements, handling vendor payments, and bank reconciliation. But all this is standard accounting package functionality. It's a given that NAV will do all that. Rather, we're going to see some of NAV's reporting functionality so that we can see how the branches, salespeople, brands, and decoration types performed. So let's have a look at item revenue. We'll use NAV's analysis views for this. I already have one prepared to report on item revenue. Now, we only have 1 month's worth of data here, so reporting by period won't make much sense. I think it will be more interesting to report by store and brand. And let's look at the report. What we can see here is a little matrix with the 4 brands as rows and the 3 stores as columns. It should be noted that I've filtered out the alpha store, as I didn't really have enough transactions into it to be useful for this demo. So what can we tell from this report? Well, the most obvious thing is that the Delta store is not selling any King G items. Also, it seems we're selling much more of DNC items than any other brand. This is consistent amongst all the stores. Also, it looks like the Delta store is selling more than the other 2 stores. Let's switch the axis for a minute to make this clearer. Okay, now we have a total for each store. It's more obvious that even though Delta isn't selling any King G items, its total sales revenue is still significantly greater than the other 2 stores. The other two stores have very similar item revenue. Looking at item revenue is nice, but more important is profit. So let's take a look at that, shall we? I'll use this analysis view I've already prepared for this. Again, I'll use brand and store to report on. Okay, so the profit shows a similar picture as the revenue. Delta is making a lot more money than the other stores. But Charlie seems a little low, considering its revenue was similar to Bravo store. We should probably take a bit closer look at that. Let's look at it by salesperson. One. So I select salesperson as the rows or lines and reopen. The salespeople are grouped by the branch they belong to. We can see here that one of Charlie's salespeople, Jason, has a much lower profit than the other salespeople. He could be dragging the whole store down. Okay, so now let's look at the our decoration sales. We'll want to look at this one by decoration type and store. So looking at our decoration revenue, straight away we can see that that the Bravo store doesn't do any screen printing. We can also see that Delta's decoration revenue is a lot more than the other branches. So now the last thing we want to report on, inventory value. Because DecEzy sends all of its purchases and sales to NAV, NAV will also be able to report on inventory levels and inventory values. For this, we will use the inventory analysis by dimensions. I already have a view set up, so we'll open up this. and it's already using brand and location, which are the things we want to report by. So I'll just show the matrix. Sorry, I need to remove the date filter. Okay, and there we can see our inventory valuation broken down by brand and store. Straight away, we can see that someone at Bravo Store has ordered a real lot of Bisley items, significantly more than other branches. And this concludes our video tutorial on branch consolidation using Microsoft Dynamics NAV. The reporting today is only a sample of what can be done. With more data over longer time periods, even more reporting can be done, where you can compare different time periods to each other. Also, it should be emphasized that much of the reporting shown today can also be run directly out of DecEzy. Running it out of NAV gives the added advantage of being able to compare branches to each other. Thanks for watching.